Hello, and welcome to another video. Today I'll be showing you my builds with Yareli Prime and what I usually run her with. What weapons, what companions, all that. So, to start, we'll just get a brief overview of her skills or abilities. Her passive gives plus 200 critical chance for secondary weapons as long as she's been moving for at least 1.5 seconds. This is a pretty great passive, especially if you're using the Kuva Nucor like I have, as even with secondary Enervate, you can sometimes reach red crits with it, but I saw that with Yareli, I get more red crits out of it from thanks to her passive and some arcanes. Her her first ability, Sea Snares, to basically it down gives damage vulnerability to enemies and also provides some crowd control as it lifts up the enemies. Second skill is Merolina, her main survivability ability, and you mostly have this turned on. So her third ability is actually, um, wait, I think it was, yeah, alright. Her third ability is Aqua Blades. I do have subsumed most of the time just because it doesn't deal a lot of damage. You can use it to stagger enemies because it does stagger them, but I haven't find that really useful in different situations or different cases. So I usually helmet it off with other abilities. And lastly, her skill is her ult is Riptide, where it's a crowd control skill. You group the enemies and yeah, you group the enemies. The damage isn't that strong, so I would highly suggest build against building it for the damage. I mostly use it to group enemies if I'm using or for more easier damage. So I
Well put
actually
together,
have.
operator. Now get out there
Cut down the.
and make the Lotus proud.
Sorry, I had to let Ordi speak for a moment, but I actually have four builds that I usually use. Now, these builds are not all mine. There are some that I took from Overframe and just modified it a bit to fit my playstyle. While there are those that, like the Cascade one, I did take this from a Discord server, which I'll probably put the details on the description. But for my builds, I mostly really like to run Merolina Guardian because with the Loyal Merolina augment, sure that mathematically or technically it's more better for survivability. But for me, I care more about the fun. That's why I have my build called as Fun Surf. So I have Gloom subsumed over her third because combat to activate Arcane Guardian and Arcane Avenger. Combat discipline lose makes you lose health when you kill, and with Merolina Guardian and with Gloom you can heal. I also do have up also do have a blue Archon shard for healing, just in case there's those toxin procs which I still die from time to time. Arcane Guardian for some armor, and Arcane Avenger for more crit chance. So I run high efficiency so that my gloom can at most drain like 2 energies per second. And you might think, well, You have Archon Stretch. It won't work with Gloom, since Gloom can be since Gloom stops energy generation if there is enemies. I do have Archon Stretch in case like my Gloom gets turned off by an Acolyte or a Nullifier or something, and I have magnetic procs with I have magnetic procs in me that makes me lose some energy so that I can still have some energy to both activate and sustain Gloom and Merolina. It's Arcane Intensify. I usually use it because of sea snares. And the second build that I mostly run too has to be this Loyal Merolina build. So it's more of a if I ever want to go Cascades. I mean, both of these are I use both of this the, for Cascades. This one if I want more damage. This one more for fun. So I have Orpanim Ice subsumed over third again for both for reducing the armor and also some fire procs or yeah heat procs. I also use it for slow, but I noticed that it doesn't really do that much. So I do switch from the two builds depending on my mood. If I want to just focus on Cascade without taking notice of the Eximus units, I use this Cascade build with Silence because, well, they forget that I'm there. I hate those Toxin Eximus units as well as the Jade Eximus units. And with Silence, I can basically not deal with them. And I also mostly use I think I just prefer this just because of that. But I do also like the Orphanum Ice build. Either way, I go for it, both. Now I've been trying this fourth build, the Sentient Rat build, which as you can see has high strength but also low efficiency. I mainly use this for disruptions. Why? To both lift up the targets and also kill them faster. Sentient Rat allows them to gives them both damage vulnerability and also lifts them up in the air. While it also stacks with sea snares. You can see where I'm going with this. Sea snares already has 356 damage vulnerability. Then you also have the Sentient Rat's 89% damage vulnerability. Now I also prefer this for disruptions because apparently I also tested it out, but I haven't done the math yet. Loyal Marolina's sea snares works are stacks on top of Yareli's sea snares. So you can definitely get a lot of damage vulnerability, especially on the um, disruptor enemies. I forgot what they're called, and also even acolytes if you're playing Steel Path. Because yes, it does work on them. The damage vulnerability works on them, even if they might not be CC'd. Now for my main weapons, I don't really use the primaries a lot these days. But if I were to go with the primary, I'll always have like the bass assist. It's just that fun and just that powerful. I do have a blast build. I mean, I've been trying many builds because I just want to have fun. I didn't really care about meta enemies. So for the secondaries, actually, as you can see, I've actually been leveling up the Codapox because with the little build that I have, it's already been dealing quite significant damage. It's just this gas electricity build. It's decent, but as of currently, I've been losing or running out of ammo immediately. Another weapon that I've usually used is Epitaph Prime, just to one-shot enemies. If I ever do want more fun, Kuvanuko. Now, this Kuvanuko build that I'm using technically has 7 status effects, which gives it a massive boost from Galvanized Shot, meaning I can use that instead of meaning I can use secondary Enervate instead of Cascadia Flare. This would, in my testing, be a little bit more consistent in dealing a lot of damage compared to Cascadia Flare. Although secondary Enervate does have some ramping up time compared to a Cascadia Flare build. Though, do not take this the wrong way, this is a very strong weapon. If I'm using the Loyal Merlin augments, of course I have access to the melees, in which case I do use either the Falcor or the Inodem. The Cut of Hypothesis is good, but it's not really my playstyle. Like, I've seen that it can do a lot more damage when thrown rather than the detonate or the heavy attack build. I mostly use the Falcor for its damage, long long distance damage as well as while the Inodem is good for um mainly hitting millions of damage. I do use Falcor just in case there's like a misstep or a misclick and I forgot to turn on Merulina. Yeah, for the companions, I do use Diriga for both priming and the Archon stretch activation. And also the Tenacious Bond, which with the full clock, the weapon it has innately, it can reach up or up above 50 crit rate, which is enough to activate Tenacious Bond. Shield Charger for more shields and shield regeneration, as vitality so that it doesn't die. Vacuum for mods, items, Manifold Bond to reduce the cooldown, Arc Oil for zapping up for priming, Synth Deconstruct health for more health and energy. I'll get into that with the Archon shards. Guardian for boosting the shield or when shield gating, and Regen just so that doesn't it doesn't take too long to re- respawn. For the Archon shards that I have on Yareli Prime, it's one Tau Forge, or actually make this two. I just need some red Archon shards, but it's red Archon shards for ability strength, a one Tau Forge Amber shard for casting speed, one Azure for health regeneration, and one Violet for an equilibrium effect. Now, if you really want to min max, go. Go use any Archon shards you want. This is just how I want, Yareli. for that energy or good energy uptime, and for me to not die as easily. Also to cast faster. For the focus skill, go for whatever you like. I mainly use Madurai just because of, well, for operator damage really. I, I used to use Sling Strength, but that was when I was using Wisp Prime, and I just got used to having Madurai on all of my builds just for that um, more operator damage as well as some casting speed, which I do not use. And that's really my build for companions. Well, I just remembered right now. I use the Wolf sometimes, but not all the time. Mostly it's just Diriga with this build, Volglock with as a primer and all that. S- For Parasons, I mean I don't really use Parasons or do Mercy Kills that much, but if I do, this is my mods. It's I have one for hacking. I don't really have the other mods. I don't know where to get those. I'll probably farm them, but yeah, that's just my build. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on another video.